Chapter 14. Explaining the truth. The transition back to the Soul Society's base camp, in the human world, was smoother than Ichigo had expected. No sudden crashes, no freaky side effects from the dimensional portal, just the comforting sight of a familiar sky above and solid ground beneath their feet. What wasn't smooth, however, was the conversation that immediately followed. Ichigo slouched against a tree, still very much in Orihime's body, while the others gathered around like a makeshift interrogation squad. Rukia was pacing. Yuri was furiously scribbling in a notebook. And Renji was leaning on his zanpakuto, trying very hard not to laugh every time he glanced at Ichigo. "Okay," Rukia said sharply, turning to face him. "Let's get one thing straight. You two are switching back, right?" Orihime, who was sitting cross-legged on a rock, and looking surprisingly comfortable in Ichigo's taller, broader body, blinked. I don't know?" Rukia froze, mid-step, her eyes narrowing. "What do you mean you don't know?" Ichigo sighed, running a hand through his borrowed auburn hair. "Look, it's not that simple, okay? We've been stuck like this for weeks. You think we can just snap our fingers and go back to normal?" Renji snorted. "I mean, I'd hope you'd want to. No offense, but you're freaking me out, man. Every time you talk, I feel like Orihime's about to punch me." Ichigo glared at him. "Keep it up, Renji. See what happens." Rukia pinched the bridge of her nose, muttering something about idiots under her breath, before turning to Yuri. "Tell me you have a plan to fix this." Yuri adjusted his glasses, his expression calm, but thoughtful. "Soul Society does have access to certain technologies that could potentially reverse the transformation. However, Rukia prompted, her tone impatient. Yuri glanced at Ichigo and Orihime. "The process would be invasive, risky even. It's not as simple as flipping a switch. And frankly, if they've adapted to their new forms, there's no immediate danger in leaving things as they are." Rukia threw up her hands. "So you're saying they can stay like this indefinitely?" "Essentially, yes," Yuri said, pushing his glasses up the bridge of his nose. Renji's grin widened. Kohei? Oh, this just keeps getting better." Rukia crossed her arms, shooting a pointed look at Ichigo. "Okay, so it's possible to fix this. Why are you hesitating?" Ichigo shifted uncomfortably, his hands fiddling with the hem of Orihime's shirt. "It's not that simple," he said. "What's not simple about it?" Rukia snapped. Orihime cleared her throat, drawing everyone's attention. "It's just, we've gotten used to it, being like this, I mean." Renji raised an eyebrow. "You're saying you like being stuck in each other's bodies?" "It's not about liking it," Orihime said quickly. "It's more like, we've learned a lot. About ourselves, about each other, and..." She hesitated, glancing at Ichigo. "I don't think I want to go back. Not yet." Rukia blinked, clearly caught off guard. "What are you talking about?" Orihime clasped her hands together, her larger, rougher fingers interlocking as she spoke. "Being in Ichigo's body has made me feel strong, confident. I've always wanted to protect people, but I never felt like I could. Not really. But now..." She trailed off, flexing her hand experimentally. "Now I feel like I can do anything." Ichigo watched her silently, his expression unreadable. Rukia turned her attention to him, her eyes narrowing. "And what about you, Ichigo? Don't tell me you want to stay like this too." Ichigo hesitated, his gaze fixed on the ground. "It's not that I want to stay like this," he said finally. "But I've learned more about myself and her body than I ever did in my own. Renji snorted. What? You learned how to walk in heels? Shut up, Renji, Ichigo snapped, glaring at him. I'm serious. Being in Orihime's body, it's changed the way I see things. I've always thought of strength as something physical, something you can measure, but she's strong in ways I never even noticed before. And now, he sighed, running a hand through his hair. Now I get it. I get her. Orihime blushed, her cheeks darkening against Ichigo's sharper features. Rukia stared at them, her expression a mix of disbelief and something softer, harder to place. So let me get this straight, she said slowly. You've both decided that you're better off like this? That you don't want to change back? Ichigo shrugged. At least for now, yeah. Orihime nodded. It's not forever. But it's been good for us. I feel like we've grown a lot. Rukia looked like she was on the verge of an aneurysm. You two are impossible. Renji, meanwhile, was practically doubled over with laughter. Oh man, this is the best thing that's ever happened. I can't wait to tell everyone back in Soul Society. Hey, did you hear? Ichigo and Orihime decided to stay swap. Ichigo shot him a deadly glare. Don't you dare. Renji smirked. What are you gonna do? Bat your eyelashes at me? Orihime giggled, covering her mouth with one of Ichigo's large hands. He does look pretty cute when he's mad. Ichigo groaned, burying his face in his hand. I hate all of you. After much back and forth, and several more quips from Renji, the group finally settled down. Rukia, though clearly still annoyed, seemed to accept their decision, grudgingly. I still think you're both insane, she muttered, crossing her arms. But if this is what you want, I won't stop you. Yuri nodded, though his expression was more curious than judgmental. I'll continue researching the transformation, just in case you change your minds later. Thanks, Yuri, Orihime said, smiling warmly. Renji clapped Ichigo on the back, perhaps a little harder than necessary. Well, princess, looks like you're stuck like this for a while. Better start practicing your hair braiding. Ichigo glared at him. Keep talking, Renji. I'm this close to punching you. Renji grinned. Oh, I'd love to see you try. Just don't break a nail. Orihime laughed as Ichigo lunged at him, their scuffle quickly devolving into a chaotic mess of limbs and insults. As the sun set over the familiar world, Ichigo and Orihime sat side by side, watching the sky turn shades of gold and pink. You know, Orihime said softly, this might be the craziest thing that's ever happened to us. Ichigo snorted. Ah, that's saying something. She smiled, leaning her shoulder against his. But I'm glad it happened. I feel like I understand you so much better now. Ichigo glanced at her, a small smile tugging at his lips. Yeah, me too. They sat in comfortable silence, the bond between them stronger than ever. For now, at least, they were exactly where they needed to be.